Yeah. So guys, I think I am live right now. Yeah. Yes, I am. So cool. Hey everyone, this is Srinjay. I am the founder of MBA Abroad. I started building this platform because, just like many of you, one of my biggest dreams is to complete my higher education from abroad, and I have so many questions piled up in my head. Many of them are, some basic questions also. That's why I'm in my journey of my own, and also I want to share everything which I'm learning from the very best, from the people who actually achieved that dream, right? And Previously, I have also did one podcast with an alumni of University of Edinburgh, and today we have another very special guest who is pursuing MIM, which is Masters in Management from the very best B schools in the entire UK, which is the London Business School. So please welcome today's guest, Mr. Rishabh. Yeah, hey man.
So yeah, not only the UK is Sanjay, but the entire world LBS is placed on the
Yes,
second
yes,
number.
yeah.
So just a bit of a correction in that area. The number one in UK, but number two in the entire world.
Yes, yes, that's true. That's true.
So
My fault, man. All right, cool. Let me just check that one really quickly that everything is going so smooth or not. Just hold on a sec. And how are you? Like, you can just have a chat. Like, how does it feel like when you
yeah,
just got the offer letter, man? Okay, cool. I am in the LVS right now.
I mean, so initially when I still remember, I got the offer mail one day before I actually and LBS was supposed to release the admit results. And you know how that mail notification pops up on your phone, and you can just read that one line and you know that you're in or you're out.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I still remember the mail read like, dear, dear Mr. Khatawat, we are pleased. And you know at that instance, but you still have to sort of read the mail twice to make sure that
Yes,
yes,
that's true.
it's actually true. So I just remember losing my mind at that time and not believing it until the next day. And more so because I'd already gotten an admit from another school at that time, but I was still looking forward to getting an admit
LBS.
from London Business School.
Yeah.
So it was just a surreal experience, in honesty.
That's like, of course, man. Like, to be very honest, I am also, planning for my higher education from, London Business School. So the thing is, like, I am also like I'm in the middle of the path right now. I don't know what to do, and also I have done some of the research that all right, cool. I have to go this path. I have to follow this path and all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a mixed feeling. But over here, I want to share my experience, my journey to be, from India to be in abroad in the future. So that's the thing. I hope that I'm also kind of a person who have a really really many questions in my head, and
Yeah.
through this podcast and all. So I feel like we can give some of knowledge to our audience, I would say. Cool. So let's just
Make
start this podcast very soon, and let's start it with your introduction. Could you please just give me your introduction?
Sure. So I'm currently a Master's in Management 23 student at London Business School. I completed my graduation from SRCC last year. I did BCom honors, and since my second year, I was pretty clear that I wanted to do a master's program and specifically somewhere internationally. And that is what I focused on during the pandemic and during the 2 years that I had left to sort of build up my profile and sort of make myself ready to sort of move bases from India to UK or internationally wherever I would get in.
Yeah.
Specifically after having lived in one place my entire life, I did my schooling in Delhi, I attended my bachelor's in Delhi, and then moving from Delhi to UK has been like a paradigm shift altogether.
Yeah.
Not only because you get to live alone, but because you meet so many people from all over the world, you sort of get exposed to so many cultures and so many new experiences that it just changes your perception of everything.
That's pretty awesome. And what's the like information about your academic and professional background? Like, did you have done your
Sure.
yeah?
So I don't have any work experience currently, and that is one of my reasons for going for an MIM over an MBA or any other program.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because all over the world, wherever the top MIM programs actually advertise themselves as an early career program, and most schools have the 2 year working limit to
Yes.
sort of get an admit. If you cross 2 years, they'll be like, no, we would ask you to apply for an MBA. But even though they don't necessarily tell you that a good that you only have a good chance of getting into a good MBA program only when you have about 5 years of work experience under your belt. So
Hmm.
that's and ed- uh, education wise, I did my BCom honors from SRCC, like I said, and I graduated last year with first class honors.
Right.
So, and I mean, about the standardized scores and all, I don't think that's necessary to sort of give a figure right now, but I'll just put it out there that even LBS sort of admits and insists time and again that they don't look for, like a specific that you have to, let's say, get an 8 or 9, 8 on 10 GPA or a 9 on 10 GPA, or let's say you have to score more than 700 or something
Right.
during in your standardized course or score above 80th percentile in your standardized course to get an admit. They insist again and again that we look at your profile holistically and all over. We don't focus on any
One single
one
part.
segment
Yeah.
altogether. Yeah, and that is one thing that I loved about LBS more so specifically because there were a few schools whom I wrote to. They either didn't give me the information or they just left it very ambiguous. But I attended 2-3 sessions that LBS hosted during my application time, and this is what they sort of insisted time and again.
That's pretty cool. Like, bro, I have been through your LinkedIn profile, and
Yeah,
I think you have mentioned that you have done a marketing and business development internship from ENY, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question. Like, after doing an internship in the marketing and business development sector, then why did you choose the MIM? Like, specifically the masters in management.
Okay, so my end goal is to work with my family once I'm done with my education,
Okay.
maybe getting 1 or 2 years of work experience under my belt and then joining directly. I'm not very clear on that as of yet. I still have about 6 months to go before I finally decide. And I felt that if I selected a specific program like a master's in marketing or MSc marketing or
Yeah.
finance or something like that, that would sort of give me like a tunnel vision instead of, sort of like an all-rounded thing overall. And if you're running a business, you need to be aware of all
All
the
the sides.
branches of
Yes. Yes.
business. So whether it's finance, accounting, marketing, supply chain, and that was one thing that I was very clear on since undergrad as well, that I don't really want to have one specification because you sort of need to be the jack of all trades to sort of, and
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah,
This
rather
is
than people sort of take it that it's better to be master of one, but I just feel that whether you're in any job function, I think it's better to have knowledge of all the
all the
areas.
areas. Exactly.
You might want to build up your knowledge in one specific area on your own time or something like
When you got the
that.
experience, when you know that this is my
Yeah,
field, right? Yeah.
yeah.
That makes sense because I have also like currently I am working as a recruiter, and I have
Okay.
faced many situations like for an example, I have started this MBA abroad wala, series and everything. So other than that, I am also I have a small NGO, I would say, because I'm
Okay.
doing all of these things because I am not really a great student, like I am
Okay.
right now, but I won't say ki, when I was in my 10th and 12th, so I was a really like average kind of a student, right? My grades were not so good and all. So after going through these kind of like na Indian mindset, like if you are not
Yeah.
scoring good, you are not good enough and all. So I feel like all
Yeah.
right, makes sense, when I have to do something, I have to do something. And over here, like when I was like graduating, I have completed my hospital management, like BBA I have done. This specialization was in
Okay.
hospital management. So
Okay.
I got somewhere like 9.23 CGPA, and I was
Okay.
really really happy. Finally, something good is happening with me.
Okay.
Good. So after that
So
only, I came to know that see, if I'm targeting IIMs and everything, I have to make sure that I have a really really great academics in terms of like the 10th and 12th wala marks. And
yeah.
while I'm paying the like almost the same amount, and if I'm getting the international exposure, then I should choose this one,
Yeah.
right? So this is my,
Definitely.
yeah, this is my whole thought. And I have seen all many videos and all, that if your profile is not that very good, you should do some extracurriculars, right? And that's why I have started
Yeah.
the NGO thing. It's not government
Yeah.
registered, it's kind of a group, we are just handling it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the whole thing. This is my my perspective towards the MBA abroad wala thing. And
Okay.
like, could you please tell me, like, why did you choose London? Like why London only?
Okay, so there were actually two main reasons. Number one, LBS was like in my top three choices, and the other two choices I had to sort of live in a French village, if I put it so subtly.
Okay.
And I was most even the two French universities that I had shortlisted, most of both of them had like an year abroad, or I could like change cities in that same university,
Right.
or international exchange program for a year or something like that. It was a dual degree, and that I got through one of them, but then again, I really didn't want to spend my time 1 year in a very isolated place in like a university town, as you would put it. And London is, according to me, one of the best cities in the world. I
That's
visited
true.
London about a decade ago or so, and I was, as a 12-year-old, I was very enamored by the city overall, and I wish that I could live in London, for a while, doing anything, studying, working, or something like that.
Same, same,
And
man. Same.
when sort of that offer came through, it was honestly a no-brainer. Even though I was slightly hesitant just because of the 1 year thing, but then again, all of my teachers, all of my friends, whoever I spoke to, said that people might or might not know these two specific universities, but they'll definitely have heard of London Business School.
Right.
Plus, you're going to be like in one of the financial and business hubs of the world. Then
Right.
why not? Why not make use of that for a year?
Right. So, yeah, that's the thing. Many of the people who actually, like things about if I'm going to London Business School or if I'm going to anywhere in the abroad, they don't have, they don't conduct the placements and anything, right? But the
Yeah.
thing which I also want to tell everyone that if you got shortlisted in LBS, if you got shortlisted in HEC, you got something. You got at least
Yeah.
something that you will get a job. That's a cool. So,
So, like I was saying, there are like pros and cons of placements at both places.
yeah,
In India, I'd say that grass is always greener on the other side. Also, while saying this,
yeah,
um, over here, when I see the placements and how people are applying it, I do feel that it's a bit easier where you have a placement cell conducting all the activities and making the process extremely smooth while companies come to you.
yeah,
Over here, you have to apply to companies, but on the pro side is that you sort of are placed directly into an international company in an international location, and that is what many of the students from India want to sort of aim
get
for
that.
further
Yes,
down.
yes, yeah,
Like, so people who study international just get a bit of a jump start for that. But then again, like right now there's a recession going on in the UK, so finding jobs and getting accepted for jobs is just that just a bit more tougher. Moreover, so like top three companies like MBB and all usually
MBB
have certain
Philippines and all.
policies which sort of dictate that if a person has done their undergrad from XYZ country or not in the UK, then they can't directly apply to the UK. You may have to apply to the Middle East, Asia, or some other place. So it's sort of it's just counterintuitive after a certain point, because I know people who've sort of gotten placed in MBB or Accentures and all these companies outside of India right after undergrad or right after their MBAs. So it's just something that you sort of either come to terms with or just deal with it at the end of it. But
Right.
yeah, more so, if you look at the stats and everything, you see that uh, LBS has like a 92%, 90+%
Placement
placements.
report. Yes, yes.
Placement reports, according to the placement reports, 90+% of people get placed within 3 months of their graduating. And the report comes at a time when people have been in lockdown or there's been a worldwide pandemic
Yeah.
going on. So you do feel that, okay, if I come to LBS, I mean, I'm already like in a certain percentile, and within that certain percentile, that percentile that does not get placed, it might be possible that they're doing something on their own or they're not sitting for placement. So you don't see yourself in that small percentile of people who don't get placed even after 3 months of graduating. So it
Right.
sort of works in a very balanced way.
That's actually if you ask me about that, but I would say the same thing. Like the thing which you have mentioned, key Indian mindsets and all. Key we are looking forward for the placement reports and everything. But I also feel like key it's a little bit easy over there because London is the hub, right? Like the most of the big organizations are in London, and it would be a little bit easier for you with the brand name of LBS, right? So that
Yeah.
also helps. So yeah, that's the thing. My next question, which I have, is like around uh, what actually do you think that sets London Business School apart from the other business schools? Like, what do you think? Like, for an example, HEC Paris, and there are so many other like B schools out there.
So usually, Sanjay, what you see is that if you look through the placement reports, you see that most places have sort of a certain establishment that yes, people who go to the school usually sort of end up in this sector. So for French universities, it's mostly luxury brand management and
Hmm.
so on. In certain universities, it might be finance, and other it may be strategy or tech or something like that.
Yeah.
London Business School sort of has this thing for consulting because most of the people end up joining a consulting role, whether it's MBB, whether it's in UK or whether it's Middle East or somewhere
Right.
else, or whether it's boutique firms which pay very handsomely. So I think that is one thing that most management students, let's just admit it, that most management students want to go into consulting. And I think that is something that LBS does very well. And plus, also, it just fosters that community because you see people interacting with each other over case prep or just consulting prep or something like that. And then other
Right.
things. So there are a lot of networking events. Plus, it's also, I mean, UK is in itself a very, let's say, a very fast-paced country and a place where people just, sort of would like to get placed after a certain while.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, it's once again, it's a financial hub. So,
Right.
I
Right.
mean, I think that is something that sets LBS apart. I cannot talk a lot about teaching and everything because I do feel that the content which someone teaches you is more so similar at a place A, B, C. You actually sort of get to interact with the cohort and with the people who are, and with the teachers and with the networking and through the networking events, the companies and everything else that you sort of come here for.
That's true. That's true. And what about the GMAT? Like, first of all, let's just have a discussion. Ki how many B schools you have applied for? What are them? And what was the GMAT score you had on?
Okay, so I applied to four schools in total, and I was pretty sure that if I would go through, I'd go through, I'd only get an, I'll only go if I get an admit in any of these four schools. I had a 50% conversion rate,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't give the GMAT, I gave the GRE more so because I was not very comfortable with the math section of the GMAT. Plus, I sort of just felt that the format which GMAT follows is that it sort of raises the difficulty question after
Mm-hmm. Yes.
question, GRE, which sort of raises the difficulty section after section.
Hmm.
So that I thought that that was a better aspect for me and a better thing that I could sort of take on.
Right.
Plus, I was more comfortable with the verbal section of it. I scored, if I remember, somewhere around the 75th to 80th percentile. I don't exactly remember the score I
That's awesome.
had.
Yes.
So I think one should not, just stretch the GMAT or GRE prep or the standardized prep for too long. I would say
Hmm.
that be as concise in your preparation as possible. I'd say 2.5 months is like the best time frame to sort of start preparing and give the test.
All right. Cool.
Either of it, maybe, whether it's GRE or whether it's GMAT.
So, is there any like source? I would say ki you can tell us ki on like you can just go through this website and it would help you for your through your education and all that.
So more specifically, I'll tell you for both. I'm not advertising or anything.
Hmm.
So GregMat is the site that I used for my GRE prep. So that guy has videos on everything, and if you go through like Reddit chat rooms and everything, he is the most talked about person on there.
Okay.
And that is also, so Reddit is also one of the places where I did a lot of my prep from because you have a lot of free material. People ask a lot of questions, and that just sort of builds a community altogether. So
Hmm.
GregMat is one, and for GMAT, I would highly recommend Top 1%,
Okay.
because I know a lot of my friends who personally used it and they've managed to score quite well in their tests as well. So I would say just try these two.
Cool. Actually, the top 1%, which you just mentioned, I have went through the, like, I was also preparing for the Gmat, so I went through the
Okay.
Pinterest and the other sites, Reddit and all. So there are so many people who just mentioned, okay, if you are going for the basic educations, like the basic things which you need to learn, like it's a better thing. Like it's better that you should first see the YouTube videos and you got the basic concept clear. Right after that, you can choose the 1%, because it's a they actually teach us in a certain level. Like for an example, they will teach you the basic for a week or something, and after that they will jump to the higher standard. So this would be a little bit difficult for some people. I'm not telling about ki every people should go through all of this, but yeah, every people have their different
Yeah.
mentality and all, right? So yeah, that's the thing.
I personally haven't used the services. I've just sort of heard recommendations about them, so I really can't, comment
Right,
on
right.
that. But I think it all depends on person to person. Whether the only thing that I'd say is that what would happen if a person just starts off with a YouTube video is that they might, once again, might is the word to stress on, they might just stretch that basics period for far too long and not sort of focus on the thing that actually helps you in the GMAT. So I personally preferred a structured plan, which Gmat for GRE helped me with. So they have like a 1 month and 2 month prep plan, and that sort of helped me with it. So that's sort of why I really won't comment on the GMAT a lot.
Cool. I'm gonna check the Great Mat right now. Like after completing this
Okay.
podcast, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
yeah, let's just talk about some scholarships and the things. Like for an example, if you got a great score in maybe in GMAT or GRE, whatever. I'm just preferring for the GMAT because most of the Indians actually went to the GMAT and all. So if you got somewhere like
Yeah.
700 or 730 or something like that, is there a possibility like you could get into LBS?
Once again,
Just based on the
like LBS
entire
said, I'll
profile.
just basically just reiterate it again. They don't have any minimum scores that you have to get a 710 or a 730 or even higher to get an admit or further on a scholarship. I know people who sort of got a 650, 660 on their GMAT. I know people who've scored more than 750, 760. So there's came up through my experience was that it's a very rounded application. That let's say you have a very high GPA, you have very good extracurriculars, you have good internships, and you have good work experience or XYZ, but you're sort of falling short on your let's say standardized test a little. The other three things balance that out. And I would also say that LBS also focuses a lot on the essays that you submit
Right.
and how unique you might be as a student at LBS and how you would be able to contribute to the LBS community, because that is one thing they really pride themselves on.
Yes, yes. Good. And
So all
yeah.
these things I think factor in. And further on talking about scholarship, LBS considers everyone for the main LBS scholarship. I don't know the guidelines as such because LBS does not publish the guidelines of how to get the scholarship or how to get that scholarship. I
Mm-hmm.
think they have a few more for minor communities and for female entrepreneurs and all of these. I'm
Right.
not too sure on how what exactly the amounts are or how you sort of get in a scholarship from LBS. But I would say that it's fairly difficult to get one because you don't come across a lot of people who've gotten a scholarship.
Hmm. All right. So, like after completing the MIM, what are your career goal? Like, do you wanna stay back in UK for some period of time, and other like you wanna directly go to India?
I'm still making up my mind on that part because I still have 6 months to go. I have a few interviews lined up as well. I have to do like a cost benefit analysis for that as well. So I don't really know. It doesn't make sense for me to stay here, or do
Go
I
back to
sort
India.
of work towards my long-term goals as of now?
Mm-hmm.
So plus there's also the sort of debate between working in a corporate work versus working in my own of business. So
Yeah.
that's sort of something I'm still debating right now.
That's yeah. Like,
I think I'll probably be much more clearer towards the end of it, or let's say 3 months down the line when I sort of given my interviews, I have the offers in my hand, and that time I think it would be much easier to sort of be sure on how to move forward.
right. So, Rishabh, I'm just telling you about myself. Okay. I
Okay.
have like around like I have an internship experience for around like I would
Okay.
say one year I would say, and after that I recently got a permanent in an organization. I'm very happy with that. So like I have
Okay.
the experience, like the professional experience is around like 1 or 2 months I would say. Okay. Other than that, it was completely an
Okay.
internship opportunity. Previous years I mentioned that I have completed my hospital management degree, the BBA. The specialization was in hospital management, and over there I got like around 3 month, 5 months of internship, and after that I went to recruiting part. And after this one I just got permanent over here in an organization. So I want to ask you, like, if I have a experience of these kind of experience of internship, and other than that I am also having a little bit, like for an example, 1 year of complete experience as a full timer. Also I have some of the
Okay.
curriculums just like this, like extra curriculums, just like working in an NGO, doing helping these people, helping everyone, like who can be like who can actually help it with knowledge, or maybe for an example, my NGO talking about that, we don't actually follow a specific niche, right? It's a completely
Okay.
different thought. Like I focus on, all right, cool, the January is for stray dogs, the February is for some young souls who is not able to feed properly and all. So I actually go with
Okay.
that thing, right? So what do you think? Like, if I got the opportunity, if I got somewhere around, like also the decent marks, I will not say कि I will give it a get around 730, 760 and all. If I got somewhere around 760 or 660 or 680 also. So is it a chance to me, for me to be in LBS? Like, please be brutally honest with me.
See, Srinjay, once again, it does not depend on me personally
Yeah.
because, like, once again, I might sound like a broken record, but there are a lot of things that LBS considers while evaluating your profile as to how unique your experiences are, what you learned through your experiences. I
Mm.
mean, the marks and the standardized tests and all are like just one aspect of it. I
All right.
mean, it's sort of, like I can't even begin how to think of evaluating your application like LBS does
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
personally don't know a lot of how LBS sort of, evaluates a profile. You might
Mm-hmm.
have done hospital management, you might have done dental school, you might have been an engineer or a pharmaceutical
Yeah.
student. I've met all these people right who are in my cohort right now, and they've all come from these different backgrounds with different experiences and everything. So
Yeah.
I really don't have like a set or like a
Yeah,
molded
these the
answer
things
to
you
this.
have to get, then you can only be in LBS. This is not the thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's not possible because personally, when I was applying, I seriously felt that I had a very low GRE score.
Okay.
When I had scored on the 75th percentile, I personally felt that I had a very low GRE score
All right.
because I think the average at that time, which was mentioned on their website, was higher than I had scored.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of, at one point, I had no expectations of getting an admit from London Business School, and I had completely forgotten that I'd even applied to London Business School, especially after receiving my first admit.
Yeah.
And when I got my interview mail, I sort of remembered, okay, yeah, I applied to London
Yeah.
Business School as
Yeah.
well. And then clearing, and when I gave the interview round, I once again felt that I have no chance because I completely bombed the interview. But I think that my answers might have just sort of convinced my interviewer who sort of saw something in me or like I don't know. Like I don't know. That's what I'm saying. That there are people who want consulting. There are people who want to go into the tech sector. There are people who are just exploring and not quite sure on what they want to do yet. There are people like myself who want to go back to India and work with their family business. So
Yes.
plus, what also happens is that once you submit your essay and you are invited for an interview, an alumni of LBS conducts your interview,
Okay.
and more specifically, they sort of try to match you with the person with the person from the industry you want to work in later on.
Okay.
So my interview was taken by someone who is currently managing a family business in India. So
Mm-hmm.
that is also one thing. So they sort of, I think they're very good at recognizing genuinity of a person and in
Right.
their answers and how sort of eager they are or how much they're willing to learn or how much they're actually willing to admit that they don't know specific thing.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
yeah.
All right. That's pretty awesome. And what about the PSW situation over there? Like the recessions and
Uh,
everything.
I'm, s- I mean, it's still a bit too early to say, Sanjay, about the recession and how it's going to impact it because um, even the alumni who graduated right in 2022
Yeah.
said that most people get placed between January to June.
Mm-hmm.
And we've sort of just come back for a new term after the holidays and everything.
Okay.
So the placement season and the placement cycle are just starting to sort of pick up once again. So it's a little bit too early to say as to how it will reflect it, but I seriously doubt that there'll be a lot of impact on it because
I
even in
also
the middle of
guess.
the even on the middle of the pandemic, LBS had like a 90% plus placement rate.
Placement, but
So
exactly, exactly.
I don't really doubt that it will be any low. It should be any lower this year.
That's the thing. And what about the like when you receive the offer letter from LBS, and what is the process you followed, like the visa and everything? Could you please just tell me about this?
Okay, so once you receive an offer letter, you sort of pay a fee to secure your seat, which is deducted from your total tuition
Mm-hmm.
later on,
Yeah.
and you sort of have to wait till. So if you've just completed your undergrad, you have to wait, or you have to get a certain letter that says that this person will receive this much marks, or he is expected to graduate, or XYZ, and then they send you a letter, which I don't remember the name of the letter right now. I'm completely blanking out on the name. So you sort of use that to apply for a visa. I mean,
Okay.
the visa process is pretty simple. You just take an appointment, you fill in the documents, and you're
It's
done.
done.
I mean, you really have no control over the visa processes or anything.
So
Then,
yeah. So
yeah, go ahead.
do we need to go through any education consultant for their help, and or the LBS will take care of everything?
Uh, I mean, you have to apply for the visa on your own. LBS just gives you any letters that you require,
Right.
and they're pretty prompt in doing that, and they're pretty prompt in replying to your emails once you've gotten an admit. So
All right.
you might want to go, you might not want to go. I know people who've come from both the ends of it, and I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of friends who applied on their own. So I mean, completely depends on you. If you just want to have like that mental surety that someone experiences doing that, you might want to go to consultant. Or if you're fairly good at following steps, you might want to do it on your own.
All right. So in your case, you completely done it by your own.
Yeah,
All right. That's cool. All right, man. So that's the whole thing. And before going ahead, I'm just asking you two more questions. The first thing, which is
sure.
really really important, that how and like individual can finance their education, right? People say that after going to UK, you can do some of the part-time jobs and everything. And talking about student accommodations, and we have to pay about that also. Like we have to pay that part also.
Yeah.
So is it okay? Like you can earn as much you can like pay the student accommodation.
See, the thing is that since it's a 1 year program, sorry, not a
Yeah.
month. Since it's a 1 year program, it's very fast paced. So we have exams every 1.5 months, every five
Okay.
weeks. We start a subject and we finish the subjects with exams in 5 weeks. So you don't really
Mm-hmm.
get a lot of time to sort of do a lot of things outside of college. But while saying that, you do fairly have certain time if you manage your time well to work as well, but you have a limit of 20 hours per week according to the US graduate visa.
Yeah.
And during the holidays, you can work full time.
All right.
So you sort of have to do that. But then again, I don't see a lot of people doing that personally over here. Most people either self finance or are here on loans. And even if they receive a scholarship, you sort of have to put up certain money to do that.
Yes. Yes.
And MBA specifically is a bit out of the blue for this one.
Yeah.
LBS does not have any student accommodations of their own. They do have a tie-up with the University of London accommodations around
Mm-hmm.
London. But yeah, the thing is that most people who come to LBS usually live around LBS for the 1 year programs. So you sort of the rent usually starts per month per person around 900
Okay.
and can go as high as luxurious as you want it to
Okay.
go. So there's no ceiling on that.
Cool. And talking about the loans which you just talked about, is it easy? Like, if you got the offer letter from LBS, is it easy to get the education loan from any banks or any NBFCs and all?
I would personally say yes, though I haven't applied for a loan. I've self-financed it, and but I know a lot of people who've come here on loan, and I don't think that anyone specifically talks about having a difficulty getting a loan to finance the studies.
All right, cool. So that's the whole thing, and I hope that I have cleared all of the doubts which I had, and also some of my friends also asked this questions. So and is if it's you are having any kind of other doubts, please feel free to reach out to us. The links of our LinkedIn profiles is in the description box. You can just go through that once. And Rishabh, please just tell about like how was the experience? Like, was it okay with you?
Oh yeah, I mean, usually what happens is that people reach out to me with similar questions or even more basic or like. So usually this sort of covered all the middle ground
Yeah.
of the questions that I usually receive. Either I usually receive very basic things like what is the process of applying to LBS, or like very advanced questions like, can you please evaluate my essay? So
Profile.
this I think are
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
perfect middle ground. So yeah, I think it's a pretty awesome platform and a pretty good experience or a pretty good learning experience for anyone who wants to get an idea of how to apply to LBS. And then again, so the thing is that LBS has like three programs: MIM, MFA, and MAM. And I would say that personally, don't just follow my word on what I said about MIM admissions while applying. If you're applying for an MFA or let's say an MAM, I would say that the criteria for admission differ a bit from program to program. So I'd say just connect to as many alumni or current students as you can to sort of get an overview or a fair idea of how to apply. And I'd say that just do your research, and while applying, just be as upfront and honest as possible about your experiences or while writing essays or while even doing an interview. If you don't know something, just admit you don't know something. So yeah, I'd say that it's a pretty good experience for anyone who wants to come in.
Thank you so much, Rishabh. I hope that you had a really great time. Have a lovely day, and please, like if I have some of the problems which I'm facing, I will reach out to you. Like,
Definitely,
yeah.
definitely, no worries.
Thank you so much, man. Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye bye.